Welcome back to Pete's Workshop. Today we're doing some more work on the Jetta. So recently when I was servicing the car, just doing a oil and filter change, I always have a check over everything else while I'm at it. And I noticed that the CV boot is split and starting to leak some grease. So some of the telltale signs that your CV boots may be leaking is going to be this grease spattering inside your wheel well. And then of course, the actual CV boot itself, you can see here, it's split very close to the band and starting to leak some grease out of there. So the idea of this video today is to show you how I'm going to go about replacing the outer CV boot. Okay, I've just loosened off the lower ball joint nut with an 18mm spanner. The idea of taking this here off the taper is then when I'm finished the job, shouldn't need to go back for a wheel alignment because the taper will put it in exactly the same place again. So now I just got to hit this section and it basically squeezes that metal and pops that taper out. So let's have a go at that. So once you've got that bolt loose, the inside of the end of the CV actually comes through here. So that's what this is doing. It's pulling the CV joint up to meet the hub. So we need to reverse that to push it out. So I did try hitting it. I'm a little bit worried about the threads there. So I found that this worked really well. I was able to get this in here, center that nicely, and then give it a good hit with the sledgehammer. And that's broken that free, so now the CV joint can come out of that spline shaft. So I did just pop that lower ball joint back in place to do that job, so I wasn't putting stress on the top of the strap. So now I can go ahead and take this off again. So now I just need to proceed removing the spline bolts from the other end of the shaft. Okay, some of these are a little bit tricky to get to, but this is just 10mm triple square. So I've loosened all those off. I like to try and get some sort of identifying mark as well so I can see this here. So I'll make sure this goes back in the same way. And also I can see this number here on bottom of the shaft. So as long as when I put that back in, I've got that number right down the bottom, then it's going to be back exactly in the same position as it was. Okay, now I've got all those triple squares out, should be able to remove the complete shaft. So I should be able to remove the outer coupling here off the CV joint by pushing something through from the thread. Unfortunately, you run out of thread. So I've I've actually just got this sitting on my workbench here. Just a bit of bar here. I just needed to shorten it a little bit. And I'm going to see if we can use this as an extension to push this through. So that's a good sign. It's tightening up a little bit. That's a good sign. And it's pulling it back. Something just let go then. There we go. Retrieve my little bit of spacer. We've pulled the spline off the shaft by pushing the bolt through from the outside. Perfect. Alright, so I did just clean this up a little bit and the bush actually fell out, but I'm pretty sure it's the right way it came. So plastic spacer, then looks like a flat washer, and then I think we can pull this boot off. So I'll proceed to clean this up and put the new boot on. I ended up getting a swag kit just from my local parts supplier. It's quite a plasticky kit, more than rubber. It comes with the 2 bands and it comes with a new nut as well. My original one is just a standard hex bolt. So I'm just going to go ahead and pre-assemble the boot onto the shaft. So I cleaned this out fairly well. Trying to pump this down past the balls with using some pressure. So when you cut a hole in the bag, don't cut a huge hole. If you cut a smaller hole, you'll be able to kind of pressure feed it in down past all of the components. Don't forget these 2 items. So it's important that you don't open this clip up before you put it on, otherwise it's really difficult to get it back in place where you need it to be. So keep that together. There's enough opening on it for you to get it over, which works well. I don't have the proper tool for these, so I'm just going to try and use some pincers. Okay, let's go and put this back in. I've just been cleaning up all the old grease from around where it was coming out of the CV boot. I've noticed a couple of problems. First one is we can see that boot is split, so that's not so good. And the other one is this sway bar end where the tie rod is. This is cracked as well, so that's going to need replacing at some stage. Let's go put that shaft back in. Okay, so I've got the drive shaft back in. I've tightened up all the 10mm triple squares, first to 10 Newton meters, then to 70 Newton meters. I've put the grease shield back on. So the idea of that is if this boot splits, it doesn't fling grease up onto the turbo and set it on fire. So this is pretty important. Make sure you put this back in. So I've got this bolt back in. I've tightened it up to, I reckon, about 150 foot-pounds. I'll put the wheel back on, and then I've got to tighten it up another 180 degrees on top of that, which should then be 200 Newton meters plus 180 degrees. I'm going to take the opportunity while I'm here to give these wheels a good clean up. It amazes me that these so-called wheel technicians can actually leave all of this stuff every time they change weights, change tires and balance your tires. They're leaving this stuff on here. What a mess. I think that's disgraceful. What do you think? Leave a comment. Bit of WD-40. The idea is that it melts the glue and allows you to be able to remove the sticker. Use something plastic so that you're not going to damage your wheel, and then simply just try and get under it if you can and get it off. But most of the time this glue is going to be very old and hard, so it's actually going to require a bit of work to be able to get that off, but it does work. So here's a good example where you can get underneath it and just keep pushing that glue along. It's working quite well. Sometimes you just need to get a bit of solvent onto a rag just to help remove the last of that glue. Don't use thinners though, just mineral turpentine.